Hi, welcome to your natural dye session. My name is Hilary Alhan. I am a visual artist and botanical dyer. I'm here on the veranda of beautiful Vince, and I'm with the store manager, Anthony, and you will see how to go through your special dye kit that you're going to be receiving in the mail. So we're dyeing with a very classic natural dye, which is called Cutch. And Cutch is actually an extract that comes from the heart center of the acacia tree. So long ago and throughout history, and even now, it's becoming extremely popular to dye using natural materials. So I hope that you'll enjoy learning a little bit in this session about natural dyeing, what it is, and how to do it. The first thing I want to go over are the contents of your dye kit. So inside of your kit, you will receive Cutch dye stuff. You'll receive a beautiful silk mask with a cotton liner that has adjustable ear loops. You'll also receive a packet of alum, which is a mineral mordant for natural dyes. So your mask, alum, and Cutch are the three things that we're going to be dyeing with. So one reason that I chose Cutch is I noticed all of the beautiful like camel browns and the rich espresso browns, the different colors that are part of Vince's current collection. So if you see there's even some beautiful greens, Cutch can actually go a little bit toward green if it's combined with alum, the mineral mordant. So the reason that we've chosen silk today is because it's a natural fiber. And other natural fibers that you can also dye include cotton, hemp, linen, anything natural. Now, I specialize in a type of dyeing called shibori. And shibori is basically a Japanese word that is way to bind fabric historically. So this was developed in 8th century Japan, but you'll see sticks and rubber bands and clothespins all make excellent materials to bind the fibers with. So the first thing I did is I allowed the mask to soak overnight in alum. So this is water that I added the mineral mordant alum to. All right, so I'm gonna let you do that the night before or the morning of your dye session. Okay, once you've pre-soaked it for at least 30 minutes, it doesn't have to be longer than that, you're gonna start working with the natural dyes. Now, I don't want you to worry too much because I did all of the measurements for you. So the contents of your dye packets are all that you need to use in order to have the correct quantities for your dye baths. I estimated it enough to dye one beautiful mask and also one Vince t-shirt. So if you would like to, you can go ahead and get, I believe you actually get a discount right now on the Vince tee. And if you would like to, you can order a Vince tee as well to go with your dye kit so that you'll have enough dye to dye your mask, which is included in the kit, along with one Vince tee. All right, so the first thing that you're gonna do with your mask is you're gonna begin folding and binding the fabric. So a really popular fold in shibori is called the accordion fold. And so you're gonna basically be pleating your item back and forth. Now there's two ways that I want to show you to pleat it. The first is lengthwise, and so you're doing long horizontal lines by folding it back and forth, okay? And then the second way, which we're going to do, is going to be a fan fold, and we're actually going to go all the way across our mask. I found people really like the fan fold, so I think we're going to do that right now. So you're gonna fold it in. I'm only folding it like 1 centimeter in and then back and forth. Now, honestly, with shibori, anything goes. You can actually do really wide pleats or you can do really narrow pleats. It really just kind of depends on your own preference. And I would encourage you with this first project to just have fun with it. And basically you'll gain an understanding of how natural dye and also shibori folds can work together. Now I'm using the word shibori, which actually influenced American tie-dye. So if you've ever done tie-dye before, you've unknowingly done something a little bit shibori. So once, like Anthony has this piece folded back and forth really nicely, you're gonna take the 2 popsicle sticks that are at your table, and you're actually going to use them to clamp. And so you want to sandwich the pieces. So in Japan, they actually use wooden shapes. And for a larger piece, like a t-shirt or something, I would use wooden shapes or cardboard shapes to clamp it. Since we're doing a small piece, we're going to use the popsicle sticks. So what you're going to do, you're going to go ahead and sandwich it with the popsicle sticks. This is going to secure your fabric. On each end, you're going to take rubber bands and you're going to secure the piece from either side. So you'll notice these masks have these really pretty like grayish, silvery, or olive green ear loops. You can decide if you want to maybe leave those out of the dye or if you're fine with dyeing them. It's really up to you. So once you have the 2 pieces secured, you can then create more lines. So basically we're working with lines and grids right now. And you could run your popsicle sticks across it again. Or some of my students might choose to just bind it a little bit more, like one more time with a rubber band. So honestly, any way that you fold it is like completely fine. Anthony is showing the popsicle sticks how to secure them on the sides right now. And I'm gonna like, even if you like folded it again, like that would have been completely fine. So any way that you wanna just have fun with it, because there's always a little element of surprise once we dip something into the natural dye. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. So I've got one here. I'm gonna do one more rubber band on the other side, and then it's gonna be all ready to dye. So the folding part is a really fun part. So I'm gonna do this and then set it aside. Now, a lot of people recommend pre-soaking your shibori. So then what you could do is you could place it back into a water bath. We actually don't need to because ours just came out of the mordant, so it's already damp. It just came out of the alum, so we'll just set it aside for now. We're gonna get our dye ready in our containers, and then I'll show you how to fold one more thing. All right, so now you're ready for the actual dye packet. So what you can see here, I want to just tell you some of the tools and materials that you could use at home. If you have a glass jar, you can just use that. Otherwise, you can use a plastic container. You could use a glass container like what Anthony has. Anything like that is completely fine. You can also do this on your stovetop if you want to use like a steel pot. If you have a steel pot, don't use aluminum pots because they actually leach aluminum into the fibers, and it'll create a slightly greenish effect. It'll make your camel brown a little bit green. And actually we're doing that a little bit today with the alum. We're already tinting it a little bit toward the green because we really wanted to get a really rich, unique color. So you'll see I have my hot water heating up here, and that's because natural dyes work best with warm water. You don't necessarily want to overboil them, but I would say you can take it up to even a simmer if you're doing this on your stovetop. So I've got my Cutch, which is actually not heat sensitive, so it's not going to ruin it or anything like that if I use too much. And I've already measured out 20 grams. So you have 20 grams of Cutch, and you're going to go ahead and just empty it, sprinkle it into your container. I'm using about 3 teaspoons. If you want lighter colors, more muted earth tones, then use less of the dye stuff. The reason that we're using the whole packet here is because we're doing t-shirts too, and we want it to be strong enough to dye our t-shirts as well today. All right, so once your water is ready and almost boiling, you can go ahead and add it to your dye bath. And really, you just need to make sure that it's full enough that you're going to be able to submerge your item completely in the dye, if that's what you want. And now give it a couple of stirs with the large popsicle stick. So you can use like a paint stir, or even a metal spoon at home is completely easy to use to stir and kind of mix up your color. So you just want to mix it, and you want to let the Cutch wood, it's basically a wood pulp, a very fine wood pulp from the acacia tree. You want to let it completely dissolve and kind of start to open up. And actually, I love the way that Cutch smells. It has this really nice earthy smell. So hopefully you'll enjoy that too. All right, and then just set, you can just slide yours. Yeah, just this really hot water. Be careful. Just set it aside and grab your other item, your t-shirt, your socks, you know, pillowcases. When I first got into natural dye, I loved doing hand towels, pillowcases, anything like that around the house that you would like to give new life or breathe new life into. So I've got my t-shirt here, and I'm just going to show you a couple of different ideas for how you can fold it. So you still have additional popsicle sticks that came with you in your kit, and you could certainly repeat that method on the tee. But I think that the first thing I'm going to ask everybody to do is to just get a nice grid going. And of course, if you have practiced tie-dyeing and you already have your ideas of different motifs that you want to do, I would say just like go for it. But I'll give you two different ways to fold your t-shirt to kind of give you ideas. So this would be the same thing that we did on the mask, but I'm going to create a grid, and I'm going to be folding back and forth and back and forth. This is kind of just like the basic of all shibori folding. So it's up to you how wide you make your pleats. Obviously, if you do really skinny, narrow pleats, you'll have really thin, narrow lines. If you do wider pleats, you'll have bigger sections of your fabric. So some people like to go really skinny. And actually, as I said that, I decided that I wanted to do that just to kind of have a little more variety in my tee. So I'm going to go pretty narrow. I'm folding back and forth. So the tendency, sometimes what people want to do is they want to fold in, fold in, fold in. And if you do that, what happens is then the dye can't evenly penetrate the fiber. So you really want to use like a fan fold. And this is kind of one of the tenets of shibori, because now, as you can see, all of those gorgeous pleats, the dye can actually touch the fabric on multiple different points to create interesting patterns that continue throughout your piece. So once you've got the folding done, you have a couple of choices. Something that I've seen people do that looks really cool is to just run the length of the fabric with rubber bands. And that means that you would actually just rubber band like the whole piece like this. You could also do the same thing that you learned with your popsicle sticks and secure it that way, okay? The popsicle sticks will create larger lines. The rubber bands will create thinner, more subtle lines. And then you have the option to maybe not dye all of your tee, but maybe to just like dip dye like the bottom portion of the tee in the fabric, which I think looks really chic and really cool on the Vince tees. We actually did that here once in an indigo workshop, and everybody's t-shirts came out amazing. So that's one, and you can go all the way up and continue up your fabric. All right, so the second method that I want to suggest, which I just think looks cool, is, have you ever seen those tie-dye shirts where there's like a spiral kind of fanning out across the tee? That can actually be achieved by pinching up the center and then twisting the fabric, or you can grab a fork from home, and I'll show you how to get a nice spiral using a fork. So you're going to pinch up the center, you're going to place your fork down, and basically just like you're twisting, and actually I'm going to have to help it a little bit because I'm on a tablecloth here, but if you're on like a wooden table, it'll go really smooth. So basically, like, you're twisting your fabric. There we go. Nice. You're twisting it, and then you're going to follow around. Here we go. Hold on. Good. So if you're on like a nice, like a little wooden surface, it kind of helps. But you'll go ahead and you'll smooth the fabric into a spiral, basically. And then you're going to take your remaining rubber bands, and this is like one of my favorite techniques to do because it always looks good. And you're basically going to cross them like slices of a pizza. So you're going to see me crossing it in several little areas. So you've got your little pizza slices going. And, you know, use 8, use 10, however many you want. But you see it looks like a little star in the center. And then you've got your little slices here. And so you just want it kind of secured down. And this is the one I'm going to dip today. And I'm going to show you the effect that you can get. So in the meantime, go ahead and place this in a bucket of water and pre-soak it. Okay, so I'm going to place it off to the side in a bucket of water. And we're going to come back to our dye bath. And now is time to go ahead. It's totally ready. The dye is opened up. Let's put our masks in. Now just think about if you want the little ear loops dyed or not. And if you don't, Anthony, I'm going to give you a clothespin, because what you can do is you can kind of just pin it to keep the ear loops out, if you want to keep them out. I'm not even sure that I want to keep them out. I don't mind if a little dye gets on it, because I picked colors that I thought would look good with the camel brown. All right, so I recommend that you let your mask set in the dye bath for at least 20 minutes. It doesn't have to be completely submerged. If a little bit is coming out, it just provides deeper and lighter shades of color. So that can look really good and also just kind of be really interesting. So you might want to wear long gloves for this. If you have kitchen gloves, if you have rubber gloves, I highly recommend it. But what you're going to do is you're going to remove your mask. You're going to wring it out over the dye bath. And we just noticed that we were already getting a nice rich color, but I recommend you waiting at least 20 minutes. So yes, beautiful. Anthony got a really nice deep color. I had a little bit less pigment in mine, so mine's going to be a little bit lighter. And then I'm going to come and get it from him, because we do want to just let it set. Nice. We do want to just let it set for just a minute before completely rinsing it out. So let's just let it set so that we don't just completely take away the work that we've just done. You see, I've had my t-shirt pre-soaking. You want to rinse out all the water completely, wring it out, shall I say, wring it out. And then you're going to come over to your container, and as you see, this is a perfect size even for a t-shirt. Now I have to say, if for a guy's tee, I think it would also look really cute to just do a solid color, or sometimes we like to do ombre. We like to just dip the ends and dip different parts of the shirt. So definitely have fun with it. This is a spiral pattern that I'm showing right now, and I'm going to submerge it completely. Ooh, I love the color. It's like a nice orangey brown. It's great. Really pretty. So orange brown is like the typical color that Cutch makes, but with the addition of a little alum, it can shift a little bit green, have more green tones. And with the addition of iron, it actually becomes an espresso brown. So the interesting thing about natural dyes is they have like a big range of colors that you can create using the same dye stuff. All right, so let's look at Anthony's color that he's achieved. It's this really gorgeous caramel coffee color. And now he's ready actually to, first, we're going to do a pre-rinse. The reason for the pre-rinse is we want to make sure that we remove extra dye before we open it, because we don't want any bleeding on the white areas. So he's just going to kind of like get a little extra color out. Probably a lot won't come out, especially if the fabric just absorbed that natural dye right away. Now it's time for the big reveal. And you dyed the ear loops. The ear loops look good. Woo! Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Such a cool pattern. So this is actually the rinsed piece. That's number one. It turned out really beautiful. Great
Yeah,
job,
that turned out
Anthony.
great. Thank you.